Dawson's Rambles.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here. A bit of a weird, quick little news-ish video. I know this is off topic from my usual Toku-related news videos, but I have covered Dragon Ball-related content on my channel before in the form of toy reviews, and it was just kind of a really random, quick topic I wanted to talk about. Some news hit today about the Dragon Ball Super movie, which is that Broly is going to be involved in it. We knew that sort of Legends of like the original Legendary Super Saiyan and stuff was going to be, involved in it for quite some time, but today, I saw the news that came out. The only reason I mainly wanted to talk about it was because there's this really interesting conversation that always comes up with Dragon Ball, which is there's this huge, like sacred continuity discussion. I really noticed this a few months back when Super was ending because I was kind of on a Dragon Ball kick, so I was sort of, more involved in Dragon Ball stuff for that little period of time, watching stuff and whatnot, and there's always this discussion of canon. I mean, that's not new. Every fandom and franchise, whatever, has a discussion of canon. But the way Dragon Ball behaves, and Star Wars to an extent, which I won't get into in this video, but is really weird for me. Not the franchise itself, but the way the fans do. I think it's because, I'm kind of a comic book superhero-y fan, so like I'm used to having literally dozens of different stories. Like the comics themselves, there's all kinds of different comics, each with their own stories, and then within a comic you could have different timelines, different universes, not to mention like the movies and the TV shows, and they're all their own universe, but they're, so that every creator has their own creative freedom. Sometimes they cross over because that's part of it, and sometimes they don't. The point is, I'm used to following these franchises where there's just alternate timelines, but they're all real. They're all canon. It's not like, they'll maybe do a one-off like Batman series for like 6 issues. It's like a what if such and such happened. That's real. It's a real story. It's a real universe. It's just like, but in Dragon Ball, there's this weird, it's not saying it's everybody, but like what I primarily encountered with like the core fan base or people that talk about Dragon Ball, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like there's this way of thinking or the way that they address it that makes me feel like they see stuff like GT or the movies as like not real. Like there's some sort of really hugely glorified fan fiction. I mean, I get it, they're not in the main continuity, but that's as simple as that. Because the whole thing about Broly is everyone's like, oh, he's canon now. I'm like, well, he always was. It's just, he's not in the main timeline. Like, it's just a different timeline. And I don't know, it was just something I wanted to talk about briefly because I think it's interesting and honestly slightly annoying because there's not a lot of, well, I mean, I was gonna say there's not a lot of fans of GT, but maybe there is, but it's kind of one of those, GT is kind of one of those groupthink punching bags that everyone's like, oh, it sucks, because everyone says it sucks. But, everyone always talks about it like, oh yeah, it's fake. It's like, people talk about like it's AF. I mean, GT is a real story. It's an official product. It was officially put out, same thing with the movies. They're real stories. They're just not in the main timeline. It's just, and I don't think that people don't necessarily understand that. It's just that the way people treat it as if it doesn't count, or you're not allowed to like it, or it's dumb if you like it because it's not in the sacred Dragon Ball canon. And I just find that weird, especially since, Dragon Ball is one of the craziest animes like I watch in terms of like, it's just out there ideas. Really, like, honestly, a lot of the plots sound like fan fiction, like, especially as the stories continued, but I love it. It's like, it's messed up and kind of crazy, but it can be really awesome. It's a crazy universe, so I just don't understand this way of thinking of like, oh, well, that's a movie, so it doesn't count. I mean, it doesn't count for the main story, but I mean, it's still a real story. You can still enjoy it. Broly was still a real character before this went down. And like, there's also this whole thing of, oh, Toriyama didn't create it, so it doesn't count. I don't know. It's a whole, I guess a lot of it could come down to personal preference. I just think it's weird that it seems like there's a lot of people that just can't see it all as real, just different timelines or different worlds. That's really not an unusual way of thinking. I mean, there's tons of franchises that do it. I sort of singled out comics because it kind of includes this huge bubble of tons of different heroes and characters where there's like dozens of different iterations, and they're all very much real, even if it's just a one-off story. They're not fake in any way. And honestly, like, for Broly's thing, I'm not one way or the other on it. I've always just been okay with Broly. I really, like, when I was younger, when his movies came out and stuff, and I heard about him, I always really liked his design and his concept, but I was never a huge fan of his movies. I thought it was a really missed opportunity. I'll be curious to see what they did with it. I think his first movie I was okay with, but I thought it was a really, I didn't read if there's any information out about like what the story is going to be, but I always thought just making it, oh, he was in basically the NICU with Goku and he cried and woke him up. I thought that was, I mean, very Dragon Ball, but dumb. So I'm kind of hoping they do something better with it. But regardless, his movies were always just kind of okay to not that great to me, but I really liked the design and concept. And the fact that we used like the legendary Super Saiyan Broly type form for the Universe 6 Saiyans during like the recent sagas, it makes sense that they might bring this in and they could probably reference it and all that stuff. So I'm definitely interested to see what happens, but it's just kind of funny how much drama it created because there's all these people that are like, oh my god, I'm so excited. And there's some people like, oh, you like Brawly, you're a casual. I'm like, I don't know. I just wanted to talk about it. It was one of those topics that just, I had a lot of thoughts, and it always helps to make a video for stuff like this. I don't know how often I'll do little news videos on stuff that isn't Toku, but just wanted to do a quick video. But I will get out of your hair. If you enjoy my videos, make sure you leave a like and comment and subscribe and ring the bell and just all that stuff. Climb the stacks, ring the bell, you know, all that stuff. Anyway, Dawson Ryder, signing out.